That's the big picture, but let's look into some of the details now. Acts 25, starting in verse 1. Now, when Festus had come to the province, after 3 days he went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem. And then the high priest and the chief men of the Jews informed him against Paul, and they petitioned him, asking a favor against him, that he would summon him to Jerusalem, while they lay in ambush along the road to kill him. But Festus answered that Paul should be kept at Caesarea, and that he himself was going there shortly. Therefore he said, "Let those who have authority among you go down with me and accuse this man, to see if there is any fault in him." And when he had remained among them more than 10 days, he went down to Caesarea, and the next day, sitting on the judgment seat, he commanded Paul to be brought. Festus is the new governor. Remember, Felix, the prior governor, heard Paul's case, couldn't find anything to accuse him of, but for political reasons and personal reasons has kept him incarcerated for 2 years. And now the new governor has come, and it's still on the pallet. It's still on the plate. What do we do with this man? And so I think Festus is like, yeah, I'd like to find out what to do. This guy's in prison. He's a Roman citizen. He's not been convicted of anything. Let's find out what's going on. And what's interesting is 2 years later, those of the high priest and those of the religious leaders in Jerusalem, they still want Paul dead. Now, that's a long time to hold a grudge, 2 years. I mean, he's pretty much out of their life. He's imprisoned over there in Caesarea. He's not bothering us here anymore, but for 2 years, there it's as fresh today, and as soon as the new governor comes in, it's like the first thing on their mind. Maybe now we can get at the Apostle Paul and have him killed. Hard to understand that kind of bitterness, isn't it? Well, maybe not, because that's the way bitterness is. It's a root, and it begins to poison and becomes toxic to your spiritual life. These are spiritual leaders. These are the men representing God to their nation. And for 2 years, they're wanting to kill this innocent man. And it's still festering, and they're still scheming. The writer of Hebrews warns us in Hebrews 12, verse 14, "Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord, looking carefully," listen, carefully, "lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled." Be careful about holding on to bitterness, holding on to unforgiveness, holding on to those offenses. Maybe some are even just offenses. You truly were wronged. But boy, you hold that, and you stew that, and you brood on that, and it becomes poison in your own well and a root of bitterness. And one day that will spring up, and it won't bring good fruit. Sometimes better to just let it go, to forgive, to ask God to heal, to move on. Some things are better just